All right, sorry about the interruption. Maintenance had to come in and get into the closet to access the electrical panel. So back to what we were doing. Back to our lesson. I'll voice this. Excuse me. Okay. When I stopped the video a while ago, I lost my markings. So we had treble clef was circled. We said that this. I'm sorry, that's the bass clef. That told us where an F was. And we had said this was the G clef. This told us where the G was. So this is the G clef. This is the F clef. So how do we learn which notes are which? We're only going to worry about treble clef for now. For now, we are only going to worry about treble clef. Learn treble clef notes, then we'll worry about bass clef notes. It will reference bass clef some as we go through this, but I'm not going to quiz you over bass clef yet. Because musical theater, most of what you will read will be written in treble clef. Most of the voice parts will be written in treble clef. Even guys, you'll read off of treble clef. As far as singers, guys, really, tenors and basses need to know how to read both. But sopranos and altos can get by with just reading treble clef. Okay, so to identify notes on the treble clef, every good boy does fine, or every good boy deserves fudge, or every girl buys designer footwear, whatever mnemonic you can come up with to remember those. Every good boy does fine. EGBDF. There will be a quiz. And then the spaces spell face. F-A-C-E. F-A-C-E. Face. You can go ahead and start working on bass clef, but I'm not going to quiz you on it next week. I'll quiz you on it later. But bass clef spaces are good boys do fine always, or good boys deserve fudge always, because we know that's how everybody talks, right? Sarcasm intended. Or all cows eat grass. Moving right along, you can come up with your own mnemonic devices, memory devices. Movable clefs. Don't worry about it. All you gotta do is just know it exists. I'm not going to quiz you over it. I don't plan on us ever using it. But whichever line this thing is on is middle C, which is the C right in the middle of the piano keyboard. We will not have to know that. Now, once upon a time, the G and F clefs moved around.
Courtney Wilson, call 4917. Courtney Wilson, call 4917.
Interrupted by an announcement, just like real teaching. This is real teaching. It's just different than what we're used to. Yes, it is rare to see the F and G clefs. It is rare to see them in non-standard positions. So we're not going to worry about that, but they used to move around. while ago I said that basses and tenors needed to be able to read treble clef. Here's why. When an alto or soprano reads treble clef, they are singing the actual pitch as written. If it is a C, whatever the pitch, if it's la, that's the pitch they sing. If a bass or tenor sings that same pitch written on the treble clef, they're actually singing an octave down. So instead of la, they would sing la. That's what an octave is. This little 8 means sing it an octave lower. You also put a little, or play it an octave lower. You also put one on top, it means octave higher. So that's what that means if you ever see it. Most of the time, sometimes it's not even there. Most of the time when tenors and basses start singing from reading treble clef, they automatically switch it to into their octave. So just know that's what that is for. That's a good question. Like, have this picture and say, what does the little 8 at the bottom of the treble clef mean? Okay. Music is easier to read and write if most of the notes fall on the same staff with fewer ledger lines. This is why we have 2 different staffs. Because look, these are exactly the same pitches. This is written in treble clef. These are exactly the same pitches written in bass clef. Does anybody want to read that all day? I know I don't. So that's why we have two different clefs. If we didn't have a treble clef, we would be using ledger lines for all of the higher notes. And if we didn't have a bass clef, we'd be using ledger lines down like this, down under the clef. We would be using them for lower notes if we didn't have a bass clef. So, how did we get treble and bass clef? Once upon a time, they used to just be one clef. F, G, A, B, C. That C and that C are the same thing. It's exactly the same pitch. And that pitch is middle C. Good question on the test, on the quiz. That's a middle C, that's middle C. But we're just worrying about treble clef right now. Once upon a time, they used to be joined. It used to be an 11-line staff. And someone went, that's too hard to read. Let's separate them. Let's get rid of that line in the center. And then we'll just put one on there whenever we need it, put it in there whenever we need it. And they started moving farther and farther apart to have room to put words in between and all that kind of thing. Here's an exercise. You can do this to practice. Again, you don't have to do this unless you just want to. You can do this to practice, and then it has the solutions for you. You just write the name of each note below the note on the staff. So this would be E, B, C, etc., etc. This would be G, D, E. So you could just on your own paper write down the names of the notes. And then you can go to the solution and it will tell you the solution. And I am going to change my mind. We will go ahead and learn bass clef. So this stuff I said, not just forget about it. about bass clef for now? No. We are going to go ahead and learn bass clef too. I'll give you some time to work on those. I won't put those on next week's quiz. We'll wait on that. But you can be studying and learning them. So there's some practice for you. Here is some more practice for you. If you're having an easy time with treble clef because maybe you play clarinet and you can read all over the place, then you do this one in bass clef. If you play trombone and you can identify these pretty easily, do it in treble clef. Otherwise, if you're a singer and know neither clef, or if you're not an instrumentalist at all, go just do this in treble clef. Here's some more practice you can do. You just practice the names of the lines, practice the names of the spaces, write the letter names of the 3 ledger lines, and those 3 ledger lines below and above. And you can draw a clef symbol. Let's all practice on treble clefs. You want to cross the line right there at the top. It hits the bottom of the space and circles around the G. So it's not just a random squiggle. I don't know if I need a better tablet or if I just need to get better at using the tablet, but oops, I messed that one up. Anyway, practice writing your clefs. Bass clef, B. It's a little easier to do. So write the names of the lines on the staff and the letter names of the staff. Practice both of them since you're going to have to learn both staffs. Practice. Whoops, that's not a P. That wasn't the tablet's fault. Practice treble, staff, and bass clef. Note identification. So practice both of them. Again, I will not quiz you on that next week, maybe the week after. More practice. Then you do the reverse here. You write the pitch. There would be a C, or you can just do an open. There would be a G. This is if it's in treble clef. You just do a whole note, which is kind of like, a little egg. And the solutions for that are right here. Yeah, these are coming down to the solutions for the things we just did. So, if you look ahead and cheat yourself, sure you can, but you won't be getting anything out of it. So, do some practice, and then you can check. we will wrap that video up right there, and we will get into sharps, flats, and naturals on the next video. So until next time.